Ayo. Log 22.0, deuce deuce. For those that know, I'm big on 22. That said, time of day is 12:43 a.m. GMT, Saturday, March 20th. It's about to be a buddy's birthday, on the 22nd, no less, which coincidentally was the day I incorporated my first ever thing I incorporated. Way back when, what year was that? Anywho, that's neither here nor there and not really about this week. So on topic of this week, though, found out on Sunday that my first and best coach passed. Another death, dude, in the books, and a significant another, death happens all the time. I get it, but like, I think I've been closer to. There's been more death happening close to me this last year than like the rest of my life combined. No doubt, by far. And like I said, I've said this before, but just another one. There's another one. And on the topic of him, I know I'm trying to do no name drop, but Jerome, RIP. He was my water polo coach freshman year. And granted, I had coaches before that in like middle school, but those are different kind of coaches. Those are oftentimes like volunteers or like, I don't know, I did have a good coach prior to that, Coach Yosh, but without a shadow of a doubt, best coach I ever had in terms of making me a better player was Jerome. He was a dick, he had a dickish humor too, this kind of cutting humor that he had. And you hated him when you were in the pool and he was, torturing you, making us hold chairs and egg beater and hold it for a minute and, have his dickish humor while we're struggling, and then make us hold even extra once the minute hits. All kinds of little games he'd play that did make us better players, though, stronger, better. And as freshmen too, I mean, when we come into that, nobody's played water polo before. You might have experienced swimming, but nobody's been a water polo player previously. And you really saw your development. There was no doubt, there's no doubting it. It was it for me was my first real experience with seeing myself and others just get better in real time, whatever that means, but for real. It was just the gains we made from going from not even knowing how to egg beater to being able to play water polo to, getting better at being a water polo player. And he developed all of us. And his style was, I was watching this Lombardi documentary a couple of weeks back while I was waiting for this to upload or whatever. Well, first it's got to save and then I've got to upload it. And I was watching this Lombardi documentary before the week before the Super Bowl. I haven't posted it to Twitter. I thought it was so good. And I knew that Lombardi was considered all-time great coach, but I really didn't know much about him, right? A little bit of this, a little bit of that, but watching that doc in full, got a real actual insight into what made him so special. And I think you really do need a kind of a unique style as far as being a coach, right? There's something to it, right? And I don't know how to explain it. Never actually been one. I've had a bunch. And Jerome was the best. And also the first, I would say, real coach, whatever that means, right? But and he would have, what he would do too is he had no patience, right? For any mistake whatsoever. You made a mistake, he'd sub you in and out in the quickness. And the thing with water polo is you can really quickly sub in and out, right? It's almost like hockey in that sense of how you can have these subs so easily. It's not like soccer where you only get 3. And you made a mistake, you were out. And you had time to think about the mistake you made in the, on the side of the pool, watching him play on without you, right? But then he'd sub you back right back in. right? Not right back in. He let you mull. And I don't know how much of this was premeditated or if this was just like intuition or his style, but it worked really well. Because the last thing you did was like a mistake, and you had time to sit in the corner about the mistake you made, and then you go back in with a furor, right? By design or just by, I mean, it just worked, right? And him having even his dickish humor worked in terms of making us better players, stronger, gave us that chip on the shoulder too. And even being that like central point of like hatred, like we all collectively hated him, right? But at the same time, couldn't deny how he was making us better and made a good team out of a bunch of little Asians. Like I mean, there were some white people too. Of course, I was one, and water polo, as far as teams at my high school, skewed more white than most of the teams that we had, right? But but yeah, I mean, as far as like, let's just speak size, right? Never mind race. Let's speak size. And these other water polo teams, they had just so much more size on us everywhere. And that was true of our football team against other football teams too. And it's true, I'm sure, of like every kind of any team that we fielded, or in water polo sense, put in the pool, right? Um, yeah, so we didn't have the size, and he made a good team out of us. I forget how we ended up freshman year. I think we either came in second place or something, right? I know we came in second place twice like when I was in varsity, sophomore year, junior year, senior year. I think my junior year and my senior year, we back to back second place. I forget how it played out freshman year. Sophomore year, I don't think we got second place though. But anyways, never championship. That much I do know. And like the last two were definitely lost by 1 point both times against the same team. Mountain View, 6-5-0. Um, that said, though, more to say about Jerome. Um, and after he wasn't my coach no more, once I moved up varsity next year, I still like had mad love for the guy. It was just, and he was like, he's a big guy, right? Okay, so let me tell you a bit about him, because who he was. Never mind his coaching style. Who he was is unique as well. Big, like think like big fridge, big, right? Like torpedo, big, right? Like Asian Korean dude, right? Played water polo previously at our high school, no less. Um, and when he got in the pool, the few times I saw him actually get in the pool, I mean, he's like a whale. But he was such a powerful swimmer. So, and he had the size, bro. He'd own any white guy. He had size on. Like, and there's not many black polo players, right? Not many Hispanic polo players. These know that I came across, playing water polo where we were playing at. Um, but I mean, as far as size, he had size up there with the best of them. Maybe not the length, because he wasn't especially tall, but he wasn't short. I bet he was like a flat 6, maybe even taller. Actually, it's hard to remember. Maybe even taller than 6 foot, but like built like a whale, and the pool was like one as well, and good, right? Like talk about whoa, like you see this guy, you just think he's fat, and then gets in the pool and he's just a beast. And I've heard he was that same way on the court too, at Calabasas. Yeah, never saw him play basketball. That was never, but he never could found me maybe once at Calabasas court actually ever playing basketball. But heard stories that he was, just a natural athlete, right? Um, and yeah, he was also very immature. His humor was very immature. He was incredibly immature, incredibly non-PC, right? Incredibly like inappropriate in countless kinds of ways. And dickish too, and cutting kind of humor, would like insult you with a laugh and a chuckle. But he was a great coach. the best I've ever had, and I've had a bunch. And he passed away just this last week. I found out on Sunday, I think it was, or Saturday. This girl from high school who also played water polo, also on the swimming team, DM me. And when I saw her DM, I was like, oh, whoa, there's a little bit of history with that girl, right? But she's married now. So I'm like, what is she DMing me about? And I kind of was like, I sat on it for a little bit. I'm like, whatever that, I'm so interested to see what the heck did she just DM me about? Um, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna put some time aside to like open this DM, right? And see what this, I was so curious. And then I open it and I find this just the worst news, not the world's worst news, but like it was just bad news, right? Whoa, like um I couldn't even think of what it could possibly be that she DM'd me about. But I guess at this age and older, when people from the when there's these blasts from the past reaching out of like left field and you have no clue what it could possibly be about, best to assume that it's some bad news. And that was like a little realization then and there. Um, and then so there's like a GoFundMe page, and I went, checked it out, made a donation, right? Anonymously, always anonymously with donations where possible, for me at least. Um, and there wasn't a description on what happened at the time, but then I look back like a couple of days later, and his wife, and I was happy to find out he got married, because I thought he may never get married too. He's that kind of guy, you know. um and I even want to double check how old he was ultimately, and how old he was when I was a freshman. I never even like, can't even recall. Not sure I ever even knew. But um his wife posted, and apparently he was just like, on a workout bike or something, right? And then I guess he fell off, and looks from she didn't see him fall off, but she found him on the floor with his leg like up on the bike and his head up against something, right? um and it's just out, right? And breathing weirdly, right? And she recounts how she called what do you call the ambulance? You call like 911, right? um and then they told her what to do, like, hey, get him flat, right? Because his leg was up, and he's such a big guy. She even recounts how she could hardly even move him, right? Was doing all she could to like follow what they were telling her to do while we're waiting for the ambulance to get out there. And then finally, I guess the EMTs arrive. They get him back to the hospital. He's on life support. And shortly after being on life support, pronounced dead. Did say taken off life support, which is always a tricky subject, taken off life support. But like, and that's what happened with my aunt too, um, and he was religious too. Maybe there's reasons there as well. I don't know, but Korean Christian kind. And yeah, it's just a freak accident, basically. Another like freak death. Now, maybe, who knows, maybe he's corona related. He is, heavy guy. Maybe my aunt's death was even corona related as well, right? And we suspect that it might be a play too. We didn't get a proper answer on what really was the cause of death for her either. I mean, it was heat stroke, sure, but heat stroke in England and just going hiking, yeah, on like one of the hottest days of the year, but in England, it's not that hot. And had a heat stroke, and heat strokes happen. I didn't know you could actually, in the modern era, really die of it, or die of a heat stroke in England in this era, and we suspect that she might have had corona previously, and maybe that factored into it too here again, and maybe with Jerome as well. I don't know, or maybe it's all just freak accidents and corona's got nothing to do with it. Or maybe everything's connected, and even if they didn't catch corona, maybe just I don't know. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm not really saying what I mean, I guess, but like everything's connected. Maybe like for me, right? Like this whole lockdown thing has made me a bigger smoker than ever. I smoke 2 packs a day. That's not how it was before I got out here. It might have been like it was a pack or a pack and a half at most, right? A day type thing, not 2 packs a day. And it was only a pack and a half a day, really, because I was working from home, back in the Bay Area, like a year leading up to coming out here also. So the working from home led to more smoking, sure. But I am straight smoking a solid 2 packs a day. Every day I'm buying 2 packs. Now, how Corona plays into that is what I'm trying to get at with everything's kind of connected. Is Corona to blame for me smoking 2 packs? No, not really. I am, right? But Corona is impacting my health by like this kind of sequence of connections. Anywho, I could still I could still do more for my health, right? Including actually exercise. But I'm beginning to feel it too. I was telling a buddy that I was talked to on the phone today for first time ever. First time we ever really had a convo on the phone. Outside of like, hey, where you at? See you there kind of thing, like a proper like hour-long plus even actually probably phone call. And I've been meaning to reach out to him. I've been meaning to hop on a call with him for a while now. And now a year later since being out here, and finally did, and it was great. And so much good news out of him too. Can't share it, like, but so much good news, man, coming out of him. Reminds me of this the lyric from like Remember Who You Are by Living Legends. I want to get the lyric right, so it's like find your range, right? Is the lyric is what popped in my head, because he really is I feel like he's found it, right? There were times in the past where I felt like he was just in his comfort zone, right? And he really needed to, not just be so comfortable, my friend, kind of stretch yourself some, you got it in you. You're capable of so much. So be so comfortable. You can, kind of corner yourself into never-ending comfort zone. Um, but now talking to him today, especially, I feel about it a little bit differently, right? Less like he's just in kind of his comfort zone, even though very much is, and kind of in a way has returned to his comfort zone. He like left the company that where he was working, where I felt that he was in his comfort zone, and then worked at another company that he was saying was a lot more work, right? And then is now back at the company that was like his comfort zone, right? Um, um, uh, where the fuck is that? I feel like these has the lyrics wrong, right? But anyway, so I think these lyrics are incorrect, but the Remember Who You Are lyric I was thinking of is a simple plan for life is change. Find yourself the nicest frame, strange. Then you see the light, man. Then you find the light. Then you find the right lane on a bright day, right? So again, a simple plan for life is change. Find yourself the nicest frame, strange. Then you see the light, man. Then you find the right lane on a bright day. And that's what popped in my head, thinking back about the conversation I had with him and how I was feeling about him coming out of that conversation, just a couple of hours ago, popped in my head. I was like, that's okay. He's found his range, is what I was thinking. I guess range isn't actually the lyric according to this website, right? But strange, right? Frame, change. Anyhow. It's good to speak with him, and won't be the last time I do like that too. Knock on wood, right? Who knows? I might die. No, I don't need to talk like that, but that's death on the mind type thing, right? Um, but yeah, and it got me thinking too. I was just talking about this before this one last week, about being the boss, and then like literally 2 days later I find out that my first and best coach ever passed. So it really got me thinking about kind of coaching, right? Or like, and what coaches have done for me and teachers have done for me. um, and not very many teachers have done very much for me, I feel like, but there's been a few that have done a lot, um, or meant a lot to me, or changed me deeply, right? I feel like meant a lot to my life. Like, and I don't even know how in the ways they may have changed me, but like definite impact, unforgettable, like significance to me to this day. Teachers, and then coaches, and this coach being a perfect example of that. And not so much managers, right? In the same way as like teachers and coaches previously. Maybe because I haven't had the greatest managers, but the last manager I had here, like that too, up there in that like echelon of best coach, up there in that echelon of Jerome. She taught me a lot, showed me a lot, um, and I'd be lucky to be as good of a manager as she was, for me, for others. And would love to be, right? So we'll see. That's a big open question as far as what kind of manager I'll be. I'm still, figuring it out. But I have a few good coaches, a few good teachers, and yes, a few, not just one, a few good managers to draw on as far as what I did like, what worked for me, what I'd like to kind of, what I think would work for me as a manager, right? Things they did as a coach, teacher, manager that worked for me that I would like, I think I could replicate, copy, that I think I could, do too. Some things they do, I don't think I could do, right? I'm not maybe as, there's some things that I don't feel like I could even, unimitable styles some people have, right? Or maybe if not necessarily unimitable, somebody could imitate it, but I can't, right? That's a sort of feature style of theirs that like I don't think I could do, or isn't my style, right? Even if it was or may have been effective. Um, but yeah, it's something to think about. I haven't given it much thought, right? It's definitely hit me like, okay, well, that's something to think about, but I haven't given it much thought. Maybe that's what this weekend will be about, thinking about kind of being my own Lombardi, basically, right? Or my own Jerome for others. Pay it forward, sort of thing. Be the kind of like person I wish I had or be the kind of manager I wish I had in my life. Be the kind of person I wish I had in my life, or the kind of person I'm glad I had in my life, for the people in my life, or kind of manager I'm glad I had in my life, for the people in my life, that kind of thing. And what is that? What are those attributes? What are those, what is it about them that really made the difference or mattered so much to me? What is it exactly? Not just that they made such a big difference and really kind of got the best out of me, but what did they do that really got the best out of me? It made me better. And whatever that may be may not be true of others, right? It's a kind of chemistry thing at play. I'm not a very easy person to manage, right? And those that manage me well, like, and I'm not a very easy person to teach either, or coach. Never was, across the board. I mean, my varsity coach would even say shit to me like, you have $1 million body on a 10-cent head, is what his like boomer fucking phrase as fuck, right? But he would, and I got voted to be the captain of my varsity team, and he vetoed it, bro. He vetoed the team voting me as captain. Said, no, Bor's not going to be captain, right? What the fuck, bro? I mean, I love that coach too. And I was manic, man. I fucking chased him down, went to the high school chase to see him. And the cops, the cops were called on me and pulled me away. And you can't just walk onto a high school campus like that. I was what, 22 at the time, 21. Manic as fuck, just walking through high school. And the week I walked through, and the time I came through too, was their homecoming week. Just so happened to be, right? So they were doing the homecoming skits. So if anyone, from LHS remembers this, that's when I came strutting through, manic as fuck, on the campus. while they were finishing, it was still happening, so it wasn't over yet, right? A homecoming skit. I forget which grades. Here comes Bora motherfucking Manic Man coming through campus. Homecoming week, no less. And now, you know, it was just coincidence, pure coincidence, right? Find one of this guy's little brother, Rabar's little brother. What's Rabar's little brother's name? I'm not even saying his name right by design, but find his little fat brother. Hey, you know me, right? Yeah, your boy. Because we didn't overlap in high school. I'm so much older, right? But yeah, your boy. Yeah, where can I find Ellington? Where can I find Coach Ellington? I need to find right now. Show me which classroom is he in, right? Take me to him. And then admin recognizes me and just intercepts me on the way to the classroom. Boy, what the fuck are you doing here? Anywho, totally different story. Valley of Heart's Delight. Some other day. But why did that even come up? Coach Ellington, the Orca. His license plate was even Orca. I think it was DA Orca, the Orca. Or was it just Orca? I don't know. It was Orca something. It was definitely Orca. He had a big black Ford pickup truck. Was it black? I don't know. Big Ford. See, that's the thing with memory, man. How can I not remember what color it was? Because I remember the pickup truck so vividly. How can I not be sure what, you know? This is why I want to keep doing these things because, man, like my memory used to be a strong suit of mine, and I still consider it like a strong suit of mine, but I know it's not what it used to be. And maybe it's because I'm trying to remember things that happened like increasingly longer ago, you know, with every step of the way, it's increasingly longer ago. But still, I don't want to forget. I'm big on like remembering, man. And that's what this is about. And in memoriam here of Jerome, maybe I should talk more about some like stories from him I remember. But but yeah, so when my mom said to stop these, delete these, oh yeah, so I did tell her, like I said I would, about these coming out of this one last week. She emailed me back and said, what did she say? This one I'm going to fucking quote because this is what I've got my whole life, this kind of feedback on any type of shit I ever post. And granted, there's been shit I've posted that really I should have never done. A, should have deleted long ago. B, and C, should still delete. It still is undeleted, right? Um, but this stretches back even to like Zanga, then through to Facebook, then through to Twitter, then through to I don't know, my whole fucking life, like oversharing. And maybe it's because of what I'm saying and how I'm saying it. I really shouldn't be sharing like I am. And her feedback here was not surprising, right? And if my dad listened to any one of these, would say the same, and anyone who's reasonable would agree, right? That I shouldn't be saying what I'm saying, especially when it comes to like work-related stuff. I guess absolutely. It's just it's such a big part of my life. How can I not talk about it? I need to be better about the no name dropping. I keep slipping on that shit, and even today I'm dropping hella fucking names. But I think that really right there needs to be like a key no mistake rule, right? But she here herself says, I can totally appreciate why you're doing this, but in this era, you cannot do this. You can't discuss work in open forum. Please delete them all. It is unfortunate, but people look you up and they can find these. You work so hard, I know, and I am proud of you, but the world has changed, unfortunately. Hugs. Legitimate feedback, but I'm not deleting them. I said this day one, right? Like, this is my life, man. I am a bipolar fucking person, you know? Maybe I'm just crazy, but this is what I want to do. If this costs me my career later down the line in some way, so be it. Not to say that I've been perfect in how I've done these, and there's definitely things I've said that I know I shouldn't have. And you know, I've said before, maybe if I can go back and find a way to edit, maybe I would, but I think that kind of kills the sanctity of this too. So fuck it. I'm not going to. I'm not gonna tie myself to a promise that I won't, like I did with Twitter once upon a time. But um, guys, let me live my life, right? This whole cancel culture, fuck it, man. I'm I'm putting it out there like I have since I was young. This is not new. This is my MO. This is who I am and who I, more importantly, who I want to be. And when I'm not honest and I don't like express myself like I do here, like I feel like I'm dying a little bit, to be honest. I feel like I'm just becoming cookie cutter in a way, or it's important to me to express myself the way I do, which is very openly. I'm an open book. I really do believe, you know, I'm really happy to be and really want to be. And even in these, I still pull back in ways I don't like pulling back. You know, I want to talk freely, and where and the way in which where I really should just talk completely freely is with the written word, right? So that way I don't misspeak or like just say it stupidly and didn't even mean it that way anyways. Whereas with the written word, I can really focus on what I mean to say and say it the way I mean to, in a more intentional way, and say it better. If you just take the time to write it, then I even can possibly speaking it. So that's, I guess, where I can go all out open book, um, someday, maybe somewhere, somehow. But here I do pull back a little bit, but still, apparently not enough. But I don't care. Keep on keeping on how I've been doing this. And I think I do need to rethink how I'm doing this, though, too. I mean, this is very, yeah, it is what it is. I don't know, I'm not going to do it maybe forever, right? And maybe hopefully evolves into something else. I mean, the idea initially was just getting the habit of doing something like this and eventually segueing into actually writing, right? Which is what I'm saying. So, but first and foremost was developing the type of habit that, and I don't have any like real good habits. This is my really only one, you know, working long hours and, you know, putting the work in. That's not a habit, I would say, right? It's just, it's become a habit, sure, in a way. But, you know, the only real habits I have is I wake up, I take a piss, I put on the kettle, I make myself a coffee, and I have a cigarette. That's every day. That morning cigarette with the coffee, man. That's a habit. What other kind of habits do I really have? Up until the last 21 of these, none really. Just a lot of little bad ones, like you know, um, or maybe, you know, lack of any good ones, right? So that said, on that topic, what I will also say today, I guess, is yeah, tomorrow I have these DUI classes, right? So you think living halfway around the world and this DUI I got way back in what, 2018, I'd be long free from, but no, particularly because it was the second one. And I took a leave of absence when I came out here because I couldn't go and do these classes, right? I took a leave of absence, but they made me say when I would come back. I said, I don't know when I'll come back, right? I mean, in my head, I'm thinking I may never come back, but I wasn't about to say that. But I'm going there for work, which is true. And, you know, I don't know when I'll be back. And they said, you got to put an end date. I was like, okay, this is just put a year. And at that time, I wasn't even sure if we would be a year. Could have even been just like 6 months. And then once I got here, realized it could have even been less than 6 months, right? Um, but put down a year, and then like after a year, you have to reach out and extend it. Okay, fine. So I kind of forget, I reach out like a week or two past the year mark or whatnot, and say, you know, uh, I'm still here, still will be here for at least another year. And then they get back to me and they say, oh, well, we can do Zoom classes now, right? I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Okay. Um, and then they get back to me, here's all this, when can you do, right? I'm like, well, when can it be done, right? What are the times? And all the times are horrible for me, bro. It's like 7 p.m. fucking you know, Pacific time, which is like 4 a.m. my time, man, like 3 a.m. my time, you know, on like a Tuesday or like a Wednesday. And then they do have like an earlier one that like conflicts. It would be like, there's like a 9 a.m. one on Wednesday, but that is like 5 p.m. on Wednesday for me. And my Wednesdays are stacked and I'm not about to interrupt um, my day when I'm in between like calls and even conflicts with calls and stuff. That Wednesday session, you know, to do a 2 hour DUI class, you know, in between calls. I mean, I have, you know, if I take that DUI class for 2 hours at 5 p.m., I have on my calendar already like 4 customer calls after that, you know, and like stuff to do. No, it's not happening, right? And then the only thing they have, the only option that made any sense whatsoever, if at all, is this Saturday for me. So it ends up being like, what does it end up being? It ends up being 5 to 7 p.m. every Saturday for me, every other Saturday. And then every between that, there's like a 15-minute every 7 p.m. my time that I have to come in for like a 15-minute face-to-face dial-in, I guess, right? Used to have to drive all the way for like just a 15-minute check-in. It was so stupid, bro. Um, but you know, this sort of sucks. Well, right now it's okay because nothing's happening, right? But there's gonna be 10 months of this. So every Saturday, on top of the hours I work Monday through Friday, I gotta do this from 5 to 7, you know, every other Saturday, and then still have to, on the Saturdays in between, still have to be able to hop on a, you know, Zoom for at least 15 minutes. I guess that's whatever, no biggie there. But you know, this is, you know, 5 to 7 on Saturday, you know, that's kind of like a very interruptive time, right? If once life resumes, right? You know, I'm gonna have to, if I'm out on a Saturday, I'm gonna have to cut out from wherever I'm out for hop on a 2 hour Zoom call. Or if I miss it, I got to pay $25 each time. And I've already got to pay, what do I got to pay? I think I got to pay like $200 a month already just to even do the classes. And all this for what, right? All this so that when I go back, all this for what? If I go back, so that I can, well, it's just something I got to do. I can still drive if I go back. But the DMV says there was some weird thing with the DMV saying differently than the court, that I would still have to have that that breathalyzer bullshit on my car, bro. That's the DMV. That's not the court. And I don't think this has any relation to that. That's just, you have to have that for however long the DMV's apparently saying I have to have it. Court said a year, but I guess DMV's saying it's supposed to be longer. Or maybe DMV's telling me that I have to complete this course first before the breathalyzer can be off the car. Or I don't know what, right? First of all, I don't know if I'm ever going back. So what the fuck is the point of doing this, right? The real point is that if I do go back, I don't have to go back and do this back once I go back, right? Especially if I can just do this via Zoom, why not? Just press on, do it via Zoom. I mean, you know, rather than if you ever do go back, having to then go into, you know, commute to these, which is what I was doing previously. So I guess I'm bitching, but at the same time, it's for the best, actually. Maybe I can knock these out on these Saturdays when nothing's happening out there anyways. And even if things are happening, which they kind of are, when I go to Camden Market, I'm blown away by how popping it is, man. It's so many people, real middle finger to like lockdown in the middle of London. And so many people, and so many people not wearing masks as well. I'm not a square, but even I'm like a little bit taken aback, right? But it's popping out there, you know, so shit is happening, at least in that little corner of England. Um, but for the most part, I mean, what better time to knock this out, I guess, right? That said, though, this is going to stretch me through to October, and June 21st is supposed to be the big, you know, total freedom. Clubs will reopen, all that, you know. Yeah, you know, I love clubbing. I love dancing, right? I can't wait to like go clubbing again. And the one time I did while I was out here, there was this one week which was like between lockdowns. It was so odd, right? And it just so happened to be the week we had our holiday dinner. And it was this one week where clubs were technically open. The week before, the weekend before, nope, lockdown. The next weekend, lockdown. But this one week just set the blip, right? And went clubbing. It was great. Got to go clubbing one time while I was out here. And I realized how out of shape I was. I told her about this. The next day, I was so fucking sore. It was like embarrassing. Oh, and not just for one day, dude, either. It was like into the Sunday too. Like I'm so out of shape, bro. So sedentary. This life I've been living for, like stretching back to even the year before I came out here, but and then especially this year. And I feel it even when I fucking walk to the liquor store to pick up cigarettes. That I feel it in my lungs, you know, breath, not lungs. That's something I feel in my lungs, but the shortness of breath sort of thing. And I went dancing. I had like no stamina, and I'm a big sweater as well, sweating up a storm. But that's always been true. Nothing new there. But the being sore the next day, like I was, that was a trip. That that threw me off. Um, but yeah, so when that comes around, June 21st, and Saturdays are back on the table, and really no excuse not to go out. These DUI classes I'm going to be doing will really sort of suck. So, but whatever, cross that bridge when we come to it. I can maybe take another leave at that time and get what I can knocked out up until then, right? But then I dialed in last week for the 15-minute thing that I'm supposed to be. She said, "I don't have you on. What can I do for you?" She's like, "How can I help you?" I'm like, "Well, what do you mean? Like, I'm here checking in for my 15-minute." She's like, "No, I don't have you on the calendar." I'm like, "What? I have to deal with this bullshit." Like, either that means I'm gonna have a miss somewhere, right? Or what? I have to now reach out to them, find out what the fuck, because that was the time I was supposed to dial in, and she said she even had me on the, I don't know, just no bullshit to fucking deal with, dude. Just like other bullshit I gotta do. Apparently, I gotta tell my electric company what my meter reading is. They have been hounding me for a year, over a year since I moved in, so a little over a year. Like every week, I got a call. I get constant email, meter reading, meter reading. We need your meter reading. In my head, I'm just like ignorant American. I'm like, fuck you. Like, I don't know where the meter is. And why the fuck do I have to give you a meter reading? You're the energy company. You do the reading, right? What the fuck? Like, I don't even know where this meter is, man. That's the real problem. Um, and why the fuck is it my responsibility to give you the meter reading? I'm paying the bill every fucking month, right? Like, um, so now you're telling me what? Well, then what am I paying if you don't even know my meter reading? Like, I'm like, what the fuck is this, right? Like, there's another bullshit thing to deal with. And all little things, right? They're not big in the grand scheme of things. Of course, you know, I'm just being difficult, right? But still, like, I don't have time for this shit. Oh, and then my landlords tell me, like, the electrician that's supposed to come in and fix the extractor and tell me why the TV doesn't work so that he can tell them to, I don't know, buy antenna, I guess. I don't know what the deal is. They don't know either, which is why they want the electrician to take a look at it and fix the extractor. And I'll find out from him where I can get this goddamn meter reading, is what I've been waiting on, right? And yeah, there was one other big thing he's supposed to do. I keep forgetting. What is the other thing? Well, whatever else, right? They punted it back to me. So this electrician kept saying he was going to come, kept texting me, "I'll be there tomorrow, Thursday." Nothing, not a peep tomorrow or Wednesday, right? Then again, and then not a peep, didn't show up, nothing. I'm like, I'm here, bro. Like, just call or like just buzz. I'm not, the only furthest I'll be is like the liquor store around the corner. And if you call, I can be right back to let you in like 5 minutes flat. Um, but then the landlord's punted back to me. "Oh, can you call him to arrange a time? He just needs access." I'm like, he's punting it. Like, if that's what he's saying, he's said multiple times to me that he'd be at a certain time and just didn't show. And I'm in the middle of calls and stuff. I'm not about to call the guy and chase him down, right? Like, just show the fuck up, bro. We're in lockdown. I am home. I work from home. Like, what is the problem? Um, and another thing to deal with is just an example of that, I guess. Um, that hasn't been getting dealt with, right? Like the TV, I paid $180. I didn't even have to pay, apparently, right? because it's an honor system, to have a TV license. So I can't get the TV working. Still, over a year later, I have no power whatsoever over my thermostat. Lucky I like it cold. But I have no control over the temperature in this place. All I can do is turn central heating on or off. So it either gets hot real quick, which is good that it gets hot so quick, but no like temperature control. That's another thing. Just haven't dealt with it over a year here because I am quite literally working like 9 a.m. to 1 a.m., bro. Like I am. Like, check it, bro. You want to see my week? Let's do this. I talk about this all the time, but like this was this week. Um, you can see, and I haven't done the labeling of it all, right? But like, Friday, I worked close to 11 and a half hours, right? Thursday, 13 and a half hours. And this is like tasks. Like this is like clock in, clock out, like a chess player playing chess. Click, start the task that I'm working on even when I just take a cigarette break, stop, click, take a cigarette break. Okay, click, restart, right? And it's down to the fucking second. 12 hours, 40 minutes worth of work on Wednesday, right? 11 hours and 14 minutes on Tuesday. And now the moment of truth. How much do I really work on fucking Mondays? Oh, I didn't even clock it on Monday, bro. I did do some work on Monday, but I just decided I'm not clocking it. Fuck it, right? I just didn't even clock anything. But that's hilarious because I always joke about how little work I do on Mondays, and it's true, right? I struggle so bad on Mondays for whatever reason. But this Monday didn't even clock shit, right? And then the previous Friday, 13 hours of straight work at that Thursday, not so bad, 9.5, but still, close to 13 hours that Wednesday, and then 13 hours and 45 minutes that last Tuesday. And let's look at that Monday and leave it there. That Monday, how much did I actually do? That Monday I did decent, 9 hours, right? But oh, and look at this. That Friday before that Monday, 15 hours, 40 minutes, 25 seconds of fucking straight task work or meetings or calls. I mean, those all fall under the task bracket, right? Bucket. Anywho, enough on that. But yeah, I mean, I'm that's my focus. One-minded man right now, really. And these little things that seem like nothing is just feels like just too much on top of all this, right? Figuring out the fucking thermostat, figuring out the fucking TV. But why the fuck is that even on me to figure out? There's part of that too. It's just like a fuck it. It's not my responsibility, but it is me who is uh you know, I just don't care enough, I guess. But still, the EDF thing, having to get back about my meter reading, again, don't care enough. I told my coworkers about this because they called me while I was in the executive call with them. And I said, "Oh, I'm not interested. Thank you. Just act like I'm just ignorant. I can do not know what you have to, I think you're a solicitor, right? Um, and, and then I told them, I'm like, dude, this EDF keeps on hounding me about my meter reading. And they're like, oh no, you really need to give them that. Like, and that's when it really clicked with me. I didn't realize, I didn't know one way or another for sure, but like, no, you really do need to give them that. Like we all do, or unless they have like the smart meters. I'm like, no, this my place definitely doesn't have the smart meters. Like I still have to put in a fucking gas card, right? Um, um, and then I was like, okay, well, I guess that is something I really got to do at some point. They're like, yeah, they'll hello overcharge you. And I know they'll hello overcharge me. I get as much from the emails they send me of pursuing legal action, right? Like blah blah blah. You're at risk of legal action or something, or whatever. Um, um, and they'll overcharge you. I'm like, well, I'm sure they are overcharging me, but I got money, whatever. Um, And then even other things like I bought like things over there from like 4 months ago, I'm never gonna wear. I'm just too lazy to return it. It's just been sitting there. It'll be a donation to somebody at some time. Maybe a girlfriend kind of, I think would like some of those stuff. There's like one jacket, one sweater, right? Um, which is love stealing your sweaters. They can have this one that I don't even want or wear. Um, but anyways, yeah, that's like, because come the weekend, I don't do shit, dad, dude. And by design, I also don't just like vegetate, and I think I need that. But I also think something's wrong with how bad Mondays are for me. Maybe it's that like pure vegetation I do on the weekend, and I can't get jump started on Monday. I gotta crack that. Something's up with that. It's very weird. Maybe it's because I don't take my Vyvanse on the weekend, and but then I do on Monday, so I should just snap back. But I don't know. Something's weird there. Um, but yeah. So with that said, I think that's really all I've got to say today. Kept it pretty unwork related, right? And usually all of these are just very work heavy. But today, other different stuff to talk about. And on the work front things, obviously, I still shared my fucking hours for the umpteenth time, right? Repeating myself there pretty heavily. But these hours they're getting longer. So, every time I'm talking about like how many hours I'm working, um, it's because I'm working even more hours, even more hours. And this is about to change, right? So part of this is what's involved in like onboarding this new hire, um, and even if it's not heavily involved because I'm not doing that much towards like what's involved with onboarding her. It's maybe like an hour and a half in there where just sessions with her, um, you know, showing her things. It's maybe like adds an extra hour and a half at most here or there, right? Every day, yeah, just every day, let's say at most, right? Um, but what it really is, we just have more customers than ever, which is true too, and a lot of renewals and renewals that I have to build out these reviews right for, and there's like ROI calculators, and then the back and forth about like the commercials, and on top of the typical like they still want to handle like operational stuff because they are going to renew, but they don't want all this operational stuff is part of the BAU, but then on top of that, all this like renewal commercial conversation in parallel, and all the preparation that has to go into that review, the ROI calculators I build out for them, and the analysis, and et cetera, right? So all that just stacks on heavily. Actually, it takes me a long time to build out these reviews. I need to reevaluate like that. It's like 4 hours to build a deck with all this like reporting and a lot like involved in it. Maybe too much is maybe the problem. I mean, um, I need to see how I can streamline that. But is true, will be true, is that at least it provides like a template for the other CSMs now. And it's easier to subtract slides than show slides to add, right? Showing slides you could include, you can always decide what to exclude, right? So it kind of hopefully functions as a template for them too. And um, on top of that, I'll be doing less of these soon enough, right? So kind of coming out of this quarter, I think I'll do a bunch of other reviews, right, for these other customers that maybe even aren't those that aren't even up for renewal, as part of like the handover process to the new CSM. Do a review, and then okay, now it's that whomever is your CSM sort of thing, or TRS are now your CSM. So coming out of March, there'll probably still be similar hours because there'll be a lot of other reviews that aren't renewals related, but those can be streamlined. Um, yes, because there doesn't have to be like ROI calculators the same degree and stuff, and all the commercials and the proposal and structuring the contract that comes after and all that. And the conversations with procurement and et cetera. So um and then once I hand them over coming out April, then my hours should really get back to like what's normal, and or could be normal again. And then I can can keep working the same hours and really do some of the stuff that I have been doing, right? And here again, I'm repeating myself, and honestly, I was pretty proud of myself for not talking shop today. And why do I got to end it with shop talk? So that's my faux pas. But yeah, really, obviously, I've got much more to say. You know, I want to be I'd love to be, I've always said that my greatest ambition is to be a great father, even though it may not sound too ambitious. That's my number one, like, greatest goal, to be a great father. And I'd also love to be like a great coach, you know? Um, and the greatest coach I ever had passed away this week. And that's something for me to think a little bit more about this weekend. Um, and the, great managers, great teachers, great coaches like in my life. Um, I probably should have thought more about all that coming into this and spent time talking about all that, right? Um, but that's the takeaway from today. That's that's the theme for this weekend, and that's really all I got to say today. So much love, be happy, do good, and love you, mom.